All right, so if you've ever gotten your four-letter MBTI code, you know that aha moment, right? It feels like this amazing key that just unlocks who you are. But what if that same key also kind of locks you in? Today, we're going to dive into what your MBTI type won't tell you. We're talking the shadows, the struggles, and, most importantly, the real path to growth.
Yeah, this one is for all the thinkers out there who actually feel things really deeply, or the perceivers who secretly crave a bit of structure. For anyone who's ever read their description and thought, yep, that's me, but also kinda no. If you've ever felt like your label is starting to feel more like a box than a compass, then yeah, you are absolutely in the right place.
Okay, but first things first, let's just take a moment to honor that initial feeling. Because finding out your type for the first time, it can be so validating. It's like someone finally flipped on the lights in a room you've been stumbling around in your entire life. All of a sudden, your little quirks, they aren't just quirks anymore. They're explained. You're not broken, you're just an INFJ or an ESTP or whatever it might be.
So, why does it feel so good? Well, it really boils down to three things. First, there's that sense of recognition. You just feel seen, maybe for the very first time. Second, you finally get the words, the language to talk about your inner world. And third, you get this incredible sense of belonging. That feeling of, oh, I'm not the only one who operates this way. It's a really powerful combo.
But, and you knew there was a but coming, right? That initial comfort, it has a shadow side. The very same label that made you feel so understood, well, it can start to limit who you believe you can be. And that helpful little box you used for understanding, it can start to feel a whole lot more like a cage.
And this is exactly where we cross that fine line from insight into an excuse. Look, it's one thing to say, hey, I'm an introvert, so I need some time to recharge. That's just good self-awareness. But it's a whole other story to say, well, I'm an introvert, so I just don't do confrontation. See the difference? Now, you're just using your type as a shield to avoid something difficult. And this really brings us to a super important question you have to ask yourself. Is your type a tool or is it an alibi? Is it actually helping you understand yourself on a deeper level, or is it just a convenient excuse to stay exactly where you are, right in your comfort zone? So this brings us to a really fascinating idea, the shadow side of your strengths. Most of the MBTI stuff you read focuses on all the great things about your type. But what happens when you're really, really stressed? What about those parts of yourself that, usually keep tucked away? Well, in MBTI terms, this is called being in the grip. And it's exactly what it sounds like. It happens when you are totally overwhelmed, completely exhausted, or just plain burnt out. It's like your dominant, most reliable function, your go-to move, gets hijacked, and your least developed functions suddenly burst through the door in a total panic, making you act in ways that even you don't recognize. And believe me, this flip can be dramatic. For example, the usually calm, logical INTJ might have these sudden, intense emotional outbursts. The super optimistic, free-spirited ENFP can become weirdly critical and rigid. The empathetic INFJ, they might turn cold, controlling, and perfectionistic. Now, this isn't you changing your personality. This is just your type under extreme, extreme pressure. And this all points to a really powerful idea. A bit of a paradox, actually. It's the idea that your greatest strengths, the very traits that make you you and make you so effective, can actually become your biggest saboteurs. Because when you overuse them, they can quietly start to work against you. Think about it. A healthy need for introversion can slide into complete isolation. A love for getting things done, common for judging types, can morph into suffocating over-control. That perceiving flexibility, it can become chronic procrastination. Literally every single one of your core strengths has a shadow side if you push it too far.
So what's the solution then? Are you just doomed? No, not at all. The key isn't to abandon who you are. The real path to growth is all about consciously, intentionally practicing the parts of yourself that don't come so naturally. It's really just about flexing outside that cozy little comfort zone.
And here's a simple little framework for how to do that. Step 1. Just notice your default settings. What are your automatic patterns? Step 2, identify what we could call a growth edge, an area that feels a little uncomfortable, but you know it's necessary. Step 3, start practicing that unfamiliar behavior, just in small ways. And finally, step 4, reflect on how it went, but, and this is crucial, without judgment. This isn't about fixing a flaw, it's about expanding your toolkit. And this is maybe the most important part. The goal here is not to change your type. You're not trying to become an ESTJ if you're an INFP. No way. You're just trying to become an INFP who can also make a plan, finish a project, and handle a tough conversation when you need to. It's about integration, not a total transformation.
Okay, let's bring this all home. If there's one thing you take away from all this, let it be this. Your MBTI type is a map. It's an amazing guide, a fantastic starting point, but it is never, ever your destiny.
I absolutely love this quote because it puts all the power right back where it belongs, in your hands. A map can show you the terrain, it can show you the likely paths you might take, but it can't predict the weather, and it definitely doesn't tell you where you have to go. You are always, always the one in the driver's seat.
And all of this brings us to a simple but pretty profound formula. Think of it this way. Your personality, that's your blueprint. It's your natural wiring. But your identity, well, that's forged by the thousands of little choices you make every single day. Choices to either lean into your default patterns or choices to stretch and grow beyond them.
Because ultimately, let's be real, any system with just 4 letters is always going to be too small to contain all of who you are. The real you, with all your history, your values, your incredible capacity for change, is way too layered and complex and, frankly, paradoxical to be neatly filed into a category. And you know what? That's not a failure of the system. That's the whole beauty of being human.
So, I'll leave you with this final thought to chew on. Your type does a great job of explaining where you start. It's your home base. But the real question is, who are you choosing to become? From that foundation, what are you deciding to build? That's the real journey.